you could chop the head off an emu at 300 yards. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today at Dream Car Show HQ, and it is actually a bit of a sad day today. I would say we're in mourning really. It's down to the new 1 Series BMW. The fact that they've now gone to 4-wheel drive, they've lost the 6-cylinder engine, all that kind of stuff. So we're here really to give it a fitting tribute. Yeah, what a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I've always said that out of all the cars I've owned, well, I owned a 135i, not the 140, but very, very similar. And I've always said that it was probably all round the best car I've ever owned.
Wow. What, better than the Mini, Mark?
Better than, well, yeah, better than the Mini.
So what qualifies you to say that then? What cars have you had?
Well, I mean, let's go back. I've just turned 23, so I've had
of course you have.
cars. But if I just list the ones I think are like, top kind of vehicles. E46 M3 SMG, Honda S2000, even before then a G60 Corrado. That was quite a nice car in its day. That's going back some. What else have I had? I've had some slightly more ordinary cars. I had a 330 Ci BMW. I've had a very, very special Alpina Roadster S, and I love that car so much I bought another one quite recently just as a sort of nostalgia thing.
Thank God you didn't mention the 406 Coupe.
406 Coupe,
damn it.
That's another video, that is beyond the special, that is beautiful. But I mean, the reason I 135i all round is the best, because all of the cars I mentioned there, I mean things like an E46 M3 now is, that's revered as something really, really special. But when I bought that almost new. It was a month old and I bought it off of Jimmy Greaves. People that are old enough to know who Jimmy Greaves is. If you don't know, then you're too young and it's past your bedtime. And because it was new at the time, I had nothing kind of to compare it to as such. And in hindsight, after sort of years have gone by, I now start to realise how fantastic that car was. But it was still a case of, it was a very hard ride, and it's quite difficult to use it every day. And you've got other people that are not so into cars, it wasn't that great as a passenger. Other cars like the Honda S2000, that was fantastic fun, but again, it was a very light car, very sort of thin panels, so it's very noisy. It was great fun to drive, but would you want to drive it all the time? So all of these cars were they were fantastic, but in a sort of niche area. Whereas the M135i and the 140i were kind of fantastic everywhere.
Ticked all the boxes.
All the boxes, yeah, and I think this is the reason it's a sad day. Anyone that is a petrolhead, you're fully aware of the fact that this is a straight 6, a 3 litre, and yes, it's turbo, but it's a fantastic setup. You don't really feel the turbo. Rear wheel drive, and it is totally the last of an era. The end of an era, shall we say. BMW now going sort of 4-wheel drive on this, and 4-cylinder, and round about 300 odd brake horsepower. All they're doing is joining the same race that everyone else is in. You'd think of Golf R, S3, the Mercedes, all these cars, they're all starting to look a bit similar. They're all basically the same thing, whereas BMW 140i kind of stood alone. And that's what I love, and what I think everyone's going to miss about this car is the fact that it was on its own, and
it was the driver's choice, wasn't it?
And the other thing as well, really, in the grand scheme of things, in comparison to everything else, they're always doing fantastic deals on these, and they were a bargain. Really, it's like a bargain, high performance. In my eyes, the ultimate hot hatch. And
just don't modify and put it on YouTube, otherwise BMW will ask for you to pay in full.
Yes, exactly, yes. Hello, Ricky. This particular one we've got in, it just looks stunning. This is a really, really fantastic car. The dark windows and black wheels and everything really make it stand out.
The only thing I would take out of the new 1 Series and put straight in this are the seats.
Yeah,
so that's the only boring bit about.
Let's come and have a quick look. Come and have a look here. So, you know, this car looks fantastic, and the ergonomics inside, typical BMW, really work well. And I totally agree. Even when I had my M140i, I mean, those seats, they're all right, shape-wise and everything.
They're very comfortable, but they just don't look very inviting.
The quality of they didn't use the best vinyl.
No.
That's what they look like to me, like old school vinyl seats.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's not really a deal breaker, but I think if these had something like, well, as you say, what the seats in the new 135i are very similar to the new Z4 seats, and they look like proper sports seats. Yeah. Whereas these,
what it's needed,
you'd get the same seats in this as you would if you spec'd any 1 Series with an M trim, like an M Sport, 118. Same seats. It doesn't look particularly special inside. The steering wheel, that's a glorious thing. But again, you can get that in an M118 probably.
Yeah.
But the way this drove, and even with the 8-speed gearbox, it's just effortless. It's really fantastic.
Well, I remember driving your M135i, and I was really impressed with that.
Yeah.
That was a lovely car to drive.
Yeah. So it's sad, and I think because this did stand alone in the you know, all the usual suspects, we all know who they are, from Volkswagen to Mercedes and the rest of them. This one did stand alone, and you know, perhaps it was a bit Marmite. You know, you've got the people that love their Golf R's and the Mercedes, but you know, this was individual. And now what BMW have done, have just joined that race. And I think I'm just not sure. I mean, we did the Golf R, didn't we, a few weeks back, and it was kind of very competent and amazing. But did it sort of leave you a bit cold? I'm not sure.
On paper, it's a great car, but it just wasn't overly exciting.
Yeah.
Now I hate to say it, but thank God for Audi, because
well, I think this is where we were quite lucky today, because we're not going to take the 140 out.
No.
There's about 1 million. You know, if you want to see a video on one of those, it's there. But saying that BMW are now with a new 135i are just joining the race, it kind of leaves one car that still stands out, kind of alone in the hot hatch world.
Yeah.
And it's got to be this.
Oh yeah, the RS3. Its own 5-cylinder engine, 395 horsepower, 4-wheel drive. Yeah, very fast, competent car.
So this is kind of the future, or where we are with really hot hatches, and we're kind of saying goodbye to kind of the old school, where it used to be.
Yeah. And
you know, it's a tragedy, I think. But should we take this out?
Why not?
And you can try and convince me that I'm not going to be too sad at saying goodbye to the BMW.
There's still hope.
He's lying! Right, so here we are. We're now in the Audi RS3. I think maybe this is where it's all going, isn't it? This is kind of the pinnacle of the current crop of kind of hot hatches, really. Yeah. But let's just talk about the M140i. That era is gone. The straight six, rear wheel drive, all that is gone, and the new M135i is just going to be in the race with all of these. If this is the future, should we just give it a blast and find out how much better than the BMW M140i this is?
Yes, and perfect conditions for an RS3.
Yeah.
Pissing it down.
It is Audi weather. Now, I didn't mention when we were talking earlier about the cars I've owned and why I would be qualified in saying the M135i I had was all-round the best car. Maniac. I have owned a couple of Audis, albeit they were S4s. I had an S4 Saloon and an S4 convertible.
And how did they compare to BMW for you?
Well, I had those after I had the E46. And the best way I think I could describe that is the E46 was like a very beautifully, finely crafted boomerang. Because it was such a crafted tool, you
Very
could
precise.
you could adjust the angle of where you held it before you threw it, and you could get it to spin in a certain arc. You could get it to come back to you. You could chop the head off an emu at 300 yards.
Nice.
And it was a perfectly equipped tool for doing those jobs. Now, when I jumped into the Audi, it was like having a great big mallet.
Have it?
Yeah, you could throw it quite far and it would go quite hard and it would clump
one
someone
direction.
on the head, but yeah, it wouldn't come back to you and you could catch it. That's kind of my experience. I think, and this was going back a few years, the reason I went over to Audi at the time, A, because it was something different than the BMWs I'd had, and also the interiors at that time were just so beautifully crafted. And at the end of the day, most of the time you're pootling around in a car and you want it to be like comfortable. And the E46 I had was, I mean, I really enjoyed it, but any passengers were kind of felt sick very quickly.
Well, come on, Farmer Charles, do one.
Oh no, you're stuck behind
What is that?
a trailer. I don't know. It's about 8-wheel drive.
It's like
whatever it
some
is.
kind of torture device on the back of a trailer.
See if you can take it. Yeah. So, what's your first impressions then of this Audi RS3?
It doesn't feel quick. Now, that doesn't mean it's not quick.
Yeah.
There's no fuss to it. I'm not being really pushed back hard in my seat, but it's very smooth.
Is it because most of the power is really at the top end of the rev range?
Yeah.
So you don't get that torquey, naturally
It's-
aspirated into 6-cylinder straight six, beautiful joy.
I would say the damping seems better on this than the Golf R that we did. And we're doing the same loop. There's a little test route that we use.
Yes, okay. It's quite choppy.
Well, no, this is soaking it up
Yeah.
a lot better than the Golf R.
Okay, yeah.
Which I'm quite surprised about, really. I expected it to be a little bit harsher than the Golf R.
I mean, I am a bit biased, I have to admit it. You'll probably see in the other videos. I keep going on about modern cars now. They're kind of too competent for their own good. You're a bit more just like a passenger in a thing that's doing most of it for you.
So that's my only gripe with DSG. You don't get that sensation of it's changing gear, and I know it's ultra smooth, but I kind of like that confirmation. We've just engaged another gear and we're pressing on.
Yeah.
And you don't get that with DSG. You do with DCT and a BMW. You do have that sensation that you've engaged the next one up and you're cracking on. But for me, DSG is just too smooth. I mean, it's brilliant with what it does, but I don't know. I prefer almost a bit of a lumpier gear change myself.
Yeah. And what about like the looks of the car itself? This is obviously the Sportback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think it kind of looks a bit like a van.
A van?
A van with windows.
Right. It's a little bit harsh.
Yeah. I mean, I to be honest.
My van looks way better than this.
Yeah, well, yours is a van. It's not trying to be anything else. Or you're trying to make it look like something else. But I mean, I always felt that the 1 Series, to me, always was a bit challenging in its looks department. I wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah.
But that one that's in
the
HQ,
facelifted one. Yeah.
facelift, I think even the 3-door with the darkened windows, I think now that is, and it's individual enough as well. It's a bit quirky.
Yeah.
And whereas the new M140i, it just looks like a full Focus. Or
It is. I mean, I know they've got their reasons for going to front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
You know, it's the platform off the 1 Series. Sorry, the Mini Countryman.
Yeah.
So it's
this like, it's like everything's morphing into everything else. You know, I think. Yeah, it feels quick, but I kind of would have thought the RS3 would have been like shocking.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to when we had the M3.
Yeah.
That scared the shit out of us.
That was.
I mean, I know it's a bit more horsepower than this, but it was rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And
that felt special.
The bed, that thing absolutely rocked on. And this, I don't know, it's just, there's no fuss. I mean, probably if you look at the speedo, we are moving well.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's,
you're moving, but
by the time you get to a level where you're quite excited, you're going to prison for being silly.
Or to the morgue.
Or the morgue, yeah. I mean, most of the fun, really, in driving in the UK is on the B roads.
Yeah.
And if you've got a car that is so good and so competent, you have to be going at silly speeds. Whereas if you dial it back a bit, like an E46 M3, you're talking what, 20 odd years old now. You've got what, 340 horsepower rear wheel drive, and not so many driver aids. And I think
you're so much more connected to the experience, aren't you?
Yeah, so you could, instead of spending 50 grand on this and losing 25 grand in 3 years, just spend 20 grand on a really, really good E46 M3.
Yeah.
Look after it, and in 3 years' time, it'd probably be worth more money than you paid for it. I think that's just a no-brainer. You could buy a bit of insurance, couldn't you, to cover major things going wrong?
Just get a comprehensive warranty with it, especially if you went for an SMG one, because you can get some nightmare bills if that lets go, and kind of issues. But personally, you'd want a manual, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, the one I had was SMG, and I must admit I did really enjoy it. I think probably because it was very novel in its day, whereas the M135 I had, the gearbox and that, the 8-speed, was perfect. It was just perfect. And you could also dial everything back in that car, and it was so comfortable. Really, really comfortable car to drive at normal speeds. But then you've got, just dial it up, and it was a fantastic car to drive. Well, you had a go of it, didn't you? What was your thoughts of that? Well, pre ever driving an M135i or M140, and then driving it.
Well, I had a 1 Series, a Mark II, I think, or facelifted Mark 1. Just a 2-litre diesel M Sport, and wasn't very quick, but it handled relatively well. So it was kind of, I knew what to expect, but the performance of your car, I was very impressed with.
Yeah.
I mean, that felt quick. I mean, it was around the time we went out in a V10 M5. Do you remember?
Yes, yeah.
I think I drove your 1 Series on the Friday. We went to Festival Speed on the Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
And I felt seriously underwhelmed in the M5 after driving your 135i.
I think, and the amazing thing about the M135i, M140 is they're always doing them at such fantastic deals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always priced, I think, fair, because they're a comparable to say a Golf R. But then BMW always did really good deals on them.
See, now this is four-wheel drive. Yeah, the roads are wet. I don't know. It doesn't give me the confidence to give it speed through the corners.
Yeah. I mean, as a passenger, you always feel a bit more scared as a passenger because you're not in control.
Especially when I'm driving.
Yeah. But it kind of, it doesn't, I don't feel really like excited or like, oh, I'm on the edge. I think whereas probably, well, I certainly did in the M3, and I think
the steering feels a lot more direct in the 1 Series than this.
Yeah.
This feels a bit numb, really.
Yeah. I think what we're kind of saying is, if you do want ultimate fun in a hot hatch, and you want that
6-pot rear-wheel drive, BMW badge.
That recipe wins every time, doesn't it? And now it's gone. You've still got
think I'd definitely have an M140i over this.
Well, that and I mean, we've got an amazing trip coming up in a couple of weeks' time. We are going to Le Mans
next week.
Next week, is it?
Yeah, we are off to Le Mans. My first time. I've never been before, so any advice, tips on where to go, where to watch from, what to do, just put it in the comments because I'd love to hear from you.